I want you to use your imagination. We're going to play a game. I want you to imagine that I have a time machine. I'm going to take you back in time. We're going back 1,400 years. We're dropping you in the middle of the desert. It is nighttime. It is pitch black. There are no streetlights. There are no universities. There are no libraries. The people there live in tents. They herd sheep. Most of them cannot read. They have never seen a microscope. They have never seen a telescope. Now, here is the test. I'm going to hand you a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you a job. I want you to write a science textbook. I want you to write down exactly how the universe began. I want you to describe exactly what a baby looks like when it is only 20 days old inside the mother. I want you to explain what holds the mountains up. What would you write? If you're honest, you would guess, and you would be wrong. You would write what the people of that time believed. You might write, the sky is a flat roof held up by invisible pillars, or a baby is made from a drop of blood. You would write myths. You would write fairy tales, because without modern tools, you cannot know these things. It is impossible. But what if I told you there is a book from that exact time? A book written in that desert. And when we open it today, in the year 2024, and we compare it to our best science, it does not have fairy tales. It has facts. Facts that we only discovered yesterday. How? How can a man in a desert know what a space telescope sees? How can a shepherd know what a microscope sees? Tonight, we're going to look at 4 of these impossible facts. And when we are done, you will have to decide, was this just a lucky guess? Or is it a message from the one who made it all? Water, the secret ingredient. Let's start with something simple. Something you can touch. Water. We all drink it. But do you know what you are actually made of? But if I take a tiny piece of your skin and put it under a super powerful microscope, I see cells. Tiny building blocks. And inside those blocks, it is mostly liquid. Science tells us today that every living thing, a human, a lion, a blade of grass, is made mostly of water. That is a biology fact. Now go back to the desert. Think like a man living in the sand 1,400 years ago. To him, water is just for drinking. He doesn't think his body is made of water. He thinks his body is made of blood and bone. He thinks the dry cactus is made of wood. He would never look at a camel and say, that camel is basically just water. But look at what the Qur'an says. In a chapter called the Prophets, 21:30, it says, we made every living thing from water. Will they not believe? Every living thing. Imagine saying that to a crowd of people in the desert. They would think you were crazy. What do you mean, I am made of water? I am solid. But today we know it is the truth. The Quran didn't say we were made of dirt or fire or blood alone. It pinpointed the one chemical that makes life possible. How did the book know that 1,000 years before chemistry was invented? Now let's go from the tiny cell to the biggest thing there is, the universe. For thousands of years, the smartest people, even the Greeks and the Romans, thought the universe was frozen. They thought the sky was finished. It wasn't moving. It wasn't growing. It was just there. Even Albert Einstein, the smartest man of our time, thought the universe was stuck in one size. But then, in the 1920s, we built a huge telescope. We looked at the stars, and we found out that the stars are running away from us. The universe is getting bigger. Fast. Think of a balloon. If you draw dots on a balloon and blow it up, the dots get further apart. The balloon expands. That is what our universe is doing right now. Now, listen to the words in the Quran, chapter 51, verse 47. And the heaven we built with strength, and we are expanding. The Arabic word means to make wider or to expand. Wait a minute. If you are a man in the desert, looking at the stars, they look still. They don't look like they are moving. Your eyes tell you the universe is frozen. So why did the Quran say is expanding? Why did it go against what everyone saw with their eyes? Because it wasn't describing what a human sees. It was describing what the Creator does. It took us until the 20th century to prove this. The Quran had it written down in the 7th century. Let's come back down to the ground. Mountains. When you draw a mountain, you draw a big triangle on top of the ground. For a long time, that is what we thought they were. Just big piles of rocks. But then geologists, the rock scientists, started digging. and they found something weird. The Earth is not one solid piece. It is like a puzzle with big pieces that move. We call them plates. If these plates move too much, we get earthquakes. The whole ground shakes. So, how do you stop the shaking? You need nails. You need pegs. Scientists found out that mountains have roots. A mountain is like an iceberg. You see the top, but there's a huge root that goes deep, deep underground. This deep root locks the Earth's plates together. It stops them from shaking around. It works exactly like a tent peg. Now listen to the Qur'an, chapter 78. Did we not make the earth a resting place? And the mountains as pegs? The word is autad. It means stakes, like the ones you use for a tent. Think about a tent peg. A little bit stays above the grass, but the long part goes underground to hold the tent steady. And in another verse, it says mountains were placed so the earth does not shake with you. Stability, pegs, roots. This is modern geology. How could a book written on sheepskin 1,400 years ago describe the deep roots of a mountain that nobody could see? This last one is the most amazing one to me, because it is about how you were made. Let's travel inside the human body. When you were just starting, when you were only 3 or 4 weeks old inside your mother, you were tiny, smaller than a bean. You could not be seen with the human eye. In the old days, people had crazy ideas about this. They thought there was a tiny, fully formed man inside the father's seed. They had no idea what an embryo looked like. But the Quran describes this stage with one very specific word. It says the human becomes an alaka. In Arabic, this word has 3 meanings. A blood clot, something that hangs. A leech. You know, that worm that sucks blood? For a long time, people thought that is a weird comparison. Why is a baby like a worm? But then, we invented the microscope. And in the 1980s, a top scientist named Dr. Keith Moore looked at a human embryo at 24 days old. He was shocked. He put the picture of the embryo next to a picture of a leech. They look exactly the same. It has the same shape. It has the same curve. And guess what? The embryo acts like a leech. It hangs on the wall of the womb. It feeds on the mother's blood. It looks like a leech. It acts like a leech. It hangs like a leech. The description was perfect. But here is the impossible part. You cannot see this with your eyes. At 24 days, the embryo is too small. So, who told a man in the desert what a 24-day-old embryo looks like? He didn't have an X-ray. He didn't have a lab. But he had the right answer. Walk back to the center. Open your hands. Be warm and inviting. Speaker. So we have 4 facts. Life is made of water. The universe is expanding like a balloon. Mountains have deep roots like pegs. The tiny embryo looks like a leech. If I guessed the lottery numbers once, you would say I was lucky. If I guessed them 4 times in a row, you would know I didn't guess. You would know I have a cheat sheet. We have a book here that got the biology right. It got the space science right. It got the geology right. It corrected the mistakes of the past. And it predicted the discoveries of the future. The man who recited this book was not a scientist. He was not a doctor. He was a man who lived in a simple time. So, where did the information come from? If you buy a complex machine and the manual tells you exactly how it works inside, you know the manual was written by the person who built the machine. These facts in the Quran, maybe they're a signature from the one who built the universe, telling us, I made the stars. I made the mountains. I made you. And I wrote this book. I want you to think about that. The letter in the box was accurate. The map was real. The only question left is, will you read the rest of the letter? Thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe for more Islamic videos.